Okay, to head up this panel, we've got Inacta's head of insurance. Please put your hands together for Jens.
Hi, Daniel.
Hey Jens, how are ya? You'll see Jens walking around with his camera, because he's an avid photographer as well, putting things out onto the cloud, and so you might see your pretty faces on there. What are we talking about on this panel here?
We'll have a closer look at the application of blockchain technology in the insurance industry, one of the industry facing massive disruption. I think we have some of the brightest and regarding usage of blockchain technology in the insurance industry, most experienced panelists here on stage.
Good. Well, you've got two already. Introduce the rest, and I'll leave the stage to you.
Thank you. So we have Alan Cabello. A warm applause for him, please. He's the leader, Central and Eastern Europe, Innovation Initiative and Blockchain Lead and InsurTech Subject Matter Expert of Allianz. Very experienced in design thinking and the application of it. Great to have you here on stage.
Thank you very much.
And he came a little late, that's why he has a microphone in his hand. Thank you. Okay. Raj Singh. Welcome, Raj.
Nice intro.
Raj is one of the co-founders and sponsors of Casco2Go, a startup offering highly automatized car insurance on the blockchain. Before he joined it, he was Group Chief Risk Officer at Swiss Re and Allianz, so he's a colleague. He was a colleague as from Paul, as from Alan. Thank you. So, starting with Raj. Raj, could you please describe your role, the purpose of your organization, the purpose of the organization you're representing, and its interest in the blockchain field in 2 sentences, please?
Sure. First thing is Casco2Go is a usage-based, blockchain-enabled, per-use, how you drive car insurance company. And we're setting this up primarily in the European Union initially, but our ambition is global. But it's truly paying for your insurance based on your own characteristics. And the real important thing is that it is underlying blockchain enabled.
Okay. Thank you very much. Alan.
Yeah, so I'm the blockchain lead at Allianz Global Corporate Specialty, which is the corporate side of Allianz. So our clients are Fortune 500 companies. It's been a very interesting journey to see how we can actually apply this in this, not retail, but corporate sector.
Yeah. So, Stephan.
Etherisc builds decentralized insurance applications. We are doing this now for 2 years. We believe that blockchain brings a lot of benefits to the customers, brings a lot of transparency and fairness to the insurance industry. And we have launched the first product, Flight Delay, in summer 2016. And we are now expanding this into a platform to enable a lot of small and smallest decentralized insurance businesses on the public blockchain.
Yeah, hi, I lead blockchain activities at Swiss Re, and I'm in the process of moving over to B3I, which I introduced, of which I will be the CEO. And yeah, we are about making sure we use disruption before getting disrupted.
That's clever.
Sounds good. So we have 2 times B2B and established insurance companies, and we have 2 times more or less B2C, we'll come to that, and startups. Thank you. Stephan, you have a very focused product, Flight Delay. How will you react if a customer asks for a more complex product, which a more, let's say he doesn't want to insure a flight delay, but the whole journey?
Yes, we have a lot of those requests. We are very happy to have those requests. And we invite others to take our products. It's all open source. You can freely use it, you can copy it, you can change it, you can adjust it to your needs, to new use cases. You can build baggage insurance. We have someone building train delay in Switzerland. We have someone building train delay in Germany. That's more interesting. And And we not only invite our competitors to steal our IP and expand on it, we help them do it.
Okay.
We want to see a lot of businesses in that space, and I think we are in a hugely growing market that will tremendously disrupt the whole insurance industry.
Okay.
I think we agree on this, all of us.
Raj, as far as I got it, it's the same with Casco to go. You're not focused to be an insurance for your own, but you offer it as a white label product?
No, actually, we will offer it on our own as well, and also we currently are testing it as a white label product.
Okay.
It's already up and running in 2 countries, but our intention is to apply our own, and we will have a license here in Liechtenstein and Switzerland.
Okay. Your main goal is to do it for your own, or to give it as a service for big insurance companies, or give it software, as Stephan said?
Well, definitely there'll be a lot of collaboration, because we're looking to build a community initially of safe drivers, but then the linkage is always there back to the larger insurance groups who want to collaborate with us, and definitely the reinsurance companies.
Okay. I give this to Paul, if it's the reinsurance companies. So this sounds for me like a blockchain ecosystem or an insurance ecosystem. What would be your main what would be the things you expect from an ecosystem like that Raj talked about? So you build a B2B ecosystem. So what do you need? What reasons do you need to go out and say, okay, we take this offering and go B2C for our customers, your business customers?
A couple of things, but I'll just highlight 2. I think one is some minimum standards. Standards is something like, in lots of discussions, people say, yep, I'll agree with that standard, as long as this is mine. So I do believe technology allows us a little bit to be less rigid about standards. I mean, we don't think about categories when we Google. We just put in a word and you find it. So whilst there is a more liberal way of thinking about standardization, we have seen, as we brought all of these companies together, there's some minimum common language that you need to just know what product are we talking about, and also that the cover that's provided is not a surprise for anyone. Secondly, I do believe that, and here we all share the same ideas. I feel like I should bring Stephan along to bring the same message in our house. It's open-mindedness, that things are not invented here syndrome. People need to get out of their heads. We also, as a group, we do not see that such an association, a group like B3I, should drive all the applications. Apple is also not writing all the apps. Bezos realized quickly that when the infrastructure was there, he could do books, he could sell other people's books. So we see also that we should keep the policyholders' needs in mind. That's why I gave some illustrations of what's really going on in the world, and provide an environment, an ecosystem, where local applications can be developed. Take agricultural flight insurance, insurance parametric, like I gave the example. Basic things. I mean, your point about Puerto Rico, great point. Ownership registries in countries like South America and India. So the second thing I think is, let's not get too bogged down into who owns the holy grail or standard. Is what is the ultimate goal that we are trying to address here, which is a massive protection gap in the world. Lots of people cannot afford insurance. Let's do something about it.
So if I got it right, it's a sort of standard Darwinism. Yeah? It's not you're the biggest one and you set the standard, but the best standard, I'm sure Stephan thinks he has for flight delay, will make a pace. Yeah? Okay. Alan, you have seen both startup world and now Allianz. What do you think the Allianz can learn from the startups you joined and you worked with?
Well, from my side, it's always been a collaborative approach. I work for the innovation department, and our goal was always, number 1, to find a real customer need, and number 2, to find what are the best pieces and the bits of the puzzle that we can bring together in order to solve that need. I've had conversations with people on this panel before, a lot of people in the audience. What I find interesting about where I am now, it's Allianz built this network the old-fashioned way already a long time ago. We have this huge network. And then it's how do we leverage this technology in order to make that network more open, more accessible, and more efficient? And what new cases can we build on top of that network that already exists? Now, moving from that to where we want to go, it's a painful process, of course. It requires a lot of work, and it requires a lot of decision-making along the way. But I think we're getting there, and that's the interesting part.
Okay. On the other way around, we have two startups here on stage. What is the requirement from Allianz? What if you have a wish to tell them? What would you say to them?
So I have a very clear wish. When we presented Flight Delay, we were invited to Swiss Re, one of the first who invited us to present our application in the insurance world. We felt very honored and very humbled to enter the marble palaces of insurance industry. and what we quickly realized is they all want to learn from us. That's all good and fine. We talked to 80 insurance companies since then. And we feel it's our task to educate the industry about blockchain and about our view on decentralization and how this future ecosystem should work and should look like. What I would like to see is more cooperation on an equal level. Yeah? Of course, as a 20-people startup, we cannot expect to play on the same level just yet. Yeah? But I think it would be nice to see cooperations between the established insurance industry players and startups that are very open, are very transparent, and try to benefit from each other in a non-competitive, collaborative way. In the end, blockchain, as we see it, a public blockchain has sharing and collaboration as the default mode. And that's important to realize. I think what this brings, decentralization brings not only a change in technology that we are using, it's a paradigm shift. It's a shift in culture, in mindset, and we see this with the individuals, yeah, in particular on the stage, yeah, but we don't see this yet with the corporations.
Okay. I would say the same. I think the real issue is the openness, and I think Paul has already commented on the openness. Traditionally, companies, because I come from the quote-unquote incumbent world, has been to build your closed networks and you have the competitive advantage. And I think that's the real change of thought we need. Really hardcore people have to open up and say, okay, if there's an identification system that'll go on blockchain, well, then we're all going to use the same one. And I think that's the key things that are there. But right now, we're not at that stage. So we're still building sideways a little bit and collaborating with some. But I think we need a lot more collaboration from the larger companies in terms of to generate the total ecosystem.
Okay.
Absolutely. So give a practical example. People tend to think of reinsurance as something very abstract. But so I've lived in a couple of countries in Europe before moving to Switzerland and then several years in the US. And something very simple, I remember getting vaccinations for my children. So just did it here in Switzerland, then moved to the US, have all the paperwork with me. Guess what? Start all over. Break your leg, have an X-ray in a wonderful hospital in Slovakia, you come back to Switzerland, no, sorry, put the CD aside. And basically, if I ask the medical sector, so talking about health insurance, you get a story which is around, we don't do it, sir, because of privacy, to which I would say, I can't care. The vaccination detail of my children, the doctor in New York should have them from Switzerland, no privacy. What's the second argument? Oh, standardization. Okay, that's the industry, be it GE or anyone who provides that equipment, coming to some common standardization. And I think we should really stop using excuses. And that's why I used some pictures here. If you live in some of the countries where people really need it, where 2 children use 1 tube of oxygen because they can't afford the second one, that's when you are reminded we should stop the curve with the yellow bit in it that I showed, that soon the administration costs more than the actual healthcare. And that's also for all of us the same duty.
I think stop excuses is a good point. Alan, you did a lot of research on this design thinking principles. How can we implement this here? Can we use it?
Design thinking is an interesting topic because, again, as a corporate innovator and a corporate B2B, it's like, okay, so who's the customer? Is it Siemens? Or is it the people at Siemens who are actually going to touch our product? Is it our own employees who are going to allow, let's say, to use the tool that we're developing, and it's going to make their lives easier, it's going to solve their needs. So finding who the actual user is a bit more challenging in this environment, but at the end of the day, you always have a person. This is B2B, but at the end of the B, there's always a an H, and that's a human. And we are designing for humans in the end, and we have to always keep that in mind.
Yeah, to get serious. If we want to work together, we say, okay, no excuses, startups here, establishing insurance companies where we want to work together. And we hire you as a design thinking coach.
Okay.
Stage is yours.
That's a good start.
What would you do?
Well, first of all, again, what I see a lot here, and I was just in London at another conference, there was over 2,000 people. And I went through the booth. We were on another panel. Yeah, actually, last week we were on another panel with one of Stephan's colleagues. And what we discussed is we see a lot of great tech, but not a lot of really good use cases. Over and over. And again, that's when we were selling ice on the internet, right? Back in the day. I think that's where we are right now. And it takes some exploration to figure that out. But there's also a lot of people who are here just to make a quick buck. And that's what we need to discern. Okay, what are the good conferences from the not so good conferences? What are the good projects from the not so good? And that requires some time, some dedication, into looking into it. Now, I have no doubt that everybody in this panel has that same focus in mind. We've discussed this
Many times.
many times. So number one, is there a real need? Are we actually solving a problem? Number two, how do we make that the approach, the tool we're using to solve that problem as user-friendly, as easy, as open for everybody? It's extremely hard for most people to understand what blockchain is. But does anybody really understand what the World Wide Web is? Not really. I asked my mother, what's the World Wide Web? She'll point to the browser. So do we need to explain that? Or do we just need to make it easily and accessible for everybody? And I think that's the journey we're on, and that will be the first thing.
Very good.
Okay. But we still have a challenge to work together. So we want to get Stephan and Paul working together. So till now, it doesn't happen, as far as I see it.
I would say it happens. At least there is a common interest to learn from each other. Yeah, that's what we are doing. And I think we are in the early days. That's very clear. We are in the very early days of blockchain and applying it to real businesses. What we did with Paul's colleagues is we looked. Swiss Re, funnily enough, has also a flight delay insurance. Built on a traditional system, and we offered, yeah, let's put our solutions next to each other and compare, yeah, and see what we can learn from each other, and that worked to some extent. But I think that the corporate culture is blocking us and is blocking a lot of more innovation and more collaboration that could happen. I think we need platforms. We need rooms where we can meet, and we have this. B3I is a good example. We have the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, where we have launched an insurance working group. We are organizing a conference on decentralized insurance. So where we also would like to invite you guys and want to see your solutions and want to see what you are working on. I think it is this cultural change. And one more thing is, from my perspective, regulations are not up to the potential that blockchain has in crossing borders, for example. Blockchain, by definition, has no national borders. Yeah? Insurance regulation works very differently. Yeah? And that's a big challenge, and we are educating lawmakers, blockchain task force, we've seen it today. And we are talking to the regulators, and we are trying to make them understand.
Okay, we have a promising technology. We have a lot of challenges in the insurance industry, but there are still some gaps to bridge, I think.
Yeah, I think it's also a matter of change management. So I think, see Stephan's point, I mean, there is always by nature some psychological effect when someone with a great idea like Stephan comes in, for people in corporates to kind of think, what is this doing to my territory? If my job, my department is based on this system, which I have a kind of life cycle of the next 5 years in mind, back home I may say, my wife, this guy had really a great idea, but at work I may not, for obvious reasons. So we are carving out, I am going to transfer out of the Marble Palace, quote, and 50 other people, and there is only so much you can do entrepreneurial work in a large corporate, but we are moving on and taking that entrepreneurial spirit. There's at some point where you need to walk the talk. You know.
Just maybe something about collaboration, very quick note about collaboration. You do have to remember that some of us are disruptors, so there can be collaboration to a certain extent, but we're looking for more fairness in insurance and not the total mutuality that people are overcompensating for what the risk they're really insuring. So the end of the day, so there's a little bit of working together, but there's also the issue of we are challengers.
All right. Unfortunately, we have to wrap it up over there. Please give a hand to the insurance panel. Thank you so much, gentlemen, in that direction over there.